What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. This is Sid Sr. I'll be your host in this video as we take a nice detailed look at the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Leader Class Optimus Prime. So, as we always do, the first thing we'll do here is we'll take a look at that packaging, so we'll slide him on out of the way. This is Leader Class packaging. It's kind of big, so I'll try to get all that in the frame. So right there on the front, you do have the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Optimus Prime. Got the Kingdom artwork on the side. On the back, you have your product shots, transforms in 35 steps. Sad baby down there, your favorite and mine. He is a leader class. And we'll put it at an angle there so we can take a look at that artwork. That is very nice artwork. Here's the top. War for Cybertron K11. Here's the bottom with words and things. And that's it for the exterior packaging. Now, before we go any further, I do want to make a confession. In the interest of full disclosure, you should know that this is not the Kingdom Optimus Prime. This is actually my Earthrise Optimus Prime. The reason I say that, I'll bring the Kingdom Prime in so you can see that the Kingdom Optimus Prime is literally the exact same figure as the Earthrise Optimus Prime. There is zero difference whatsoever. The mold is exactly the same. Articulation, of course, all the details are exactly the same. They use the exact same colors. They didn't even change the colors of the yellows or the reds or the blues or the grays. So at this point, I'm not going to take him out of the packaging. I think what I'm going to do, this is kind of a twofer. Number one, you get an opportunity to see how he looks packaged up in his leader packaging, or the Kingdom packaging, excuse me. And also, he's not going to be on my display shelf. He's already there. There's no sense in taking him out and having two of them. There is literally no difference between the two of them. But I wanted to bring that in and show you. So, Earthrise Optimus Prime is going to be our stunt double today. So, we're going to go ahead and move him on out of the way. Set him off to the side. So from this point forward, this is Kingdom Optimus Prime. Now, another thing that I want to make a note of really quick, there are a few differences between my Earthrise Prime and the Kingdom Prime. These are not differences from Hasbro. These are differences, they're modifications that I have made. So I have a 3D printer. I went on Thingiverse. I found some files. If I can find the links, I will share them in the description, but I did make a few changes, particularly to the trailer. I do have this radar dish that I added. I do have the additions to the trailers here on both sides to try to give that a little more mass, if you will, or give it that illusion of mass, because these were such wide open spaces, it actually detracted from the look of the trailer. So I did that, and additionally, I did make cannons for the module, and I printed off my own roller for the module. So I won't be showcasing these as part of the review today, but I did want to just give you that heads up. If you did see a few minor differences there, then your eyes were not deceiving you. So all that being said, since I haven't done one yet, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this review my Kingdom and Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime review. All right? So, moving on, we'll put this trailer off to the side for a little while. We'll talk about his accessory that he came with, which is his rifle. So, it has good detail in it, but it is just gray molded plastic with black paint. It does fold for weapon storage. All right, and then of course he comes with his trailer. Like I said, minus the radar dish, this is what you will see. We'll get into the details of this in a little while. But of course he does have the Autobot symbol on the side. Now, my trailer, it has a very loose joint right here, so it takes very little to knock that over. So if that falls or if it comes out like that, just a friendly heads up that this one is a little bit loose. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lower this camera down because that packaging was so big that I needed to raise my camera in order to get it up or to get it all in. So I'm going to lower the camera back down so we have a little bit easier time viewing these items. Alright, so let's bring Optimus in for his close-up. Now, what I will say first of all before we start is this is a great figure. This is a great mold. I think they did a really good job with this guy. You can tell that there was a lot of care that was put into this. Robot mode, I mean, that's Optimus Prime all the way through. My biggest gripe about the robot mode is he just has these butt tires back there, and you could take them off. There's just a pin that slides in that you could just push right out, and then you could remove those. That way you have a much cleaner look. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave them out how they are. But for the most part, it doesn't really detract, especially when you have him on the shelf and he's facing forward, as most people do with their figures. So let's bring him in. Try to get a look at those blue painted eyes. There you go. So nice looking head sculpt. The paint work on this is very good. I would have liked to have seen the cab lights decked out with a little bit of paint, but that's just a minor issue. That chest looks really nice. Good sculpted in detail and painted detail down there. Of course, you do have the yellow right there. The blue crotch. Good detail on the legs. Autobot symbol on this shoulder. His smokestacks are a little shorter than I would like, but again, it's not enough to detract from the figure. The hands are an incredibly beautiful metallic blue, and as I've just shown you, we'll get to the articulation shortly, but they do open and close, which is nice to see, you know, in a leader/deluxe size mainline figure. All right, so as far as articulation goes, I gotta show you the back. So there's the back of him. Again, even back here, this is detail that wasn't necessary, but they put it in anyway. On the backs of the arms, again, good attention to detail. Like I said, you could tell that Hasbro put time, and Takara put their time into trying to put as much value add into this figure as they could for the price point. So, very good job, actually. Now, for articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so you can get some side to side, you can get some up and down, you get a full 360 if you want to do that. Shoulders come out that far. They do a full 360. You get 90 degrees at the elbow. You do get bicep swivel. And with the hands, you get wrist swivel. And they open and close. You do have waist rotation. The butt tires do interfere a little bit, but not enough to stop you from getting some really good poses. As far as the hips go, you can do a full Van Damme. And this is the interesting part to me. This is where it detracts just a bit. He can kick forward great, but kicking back, here we go with the butt tires again. That's only as far back as you can get him. So you can get him with a really nice 300, this is Sparta kind of kick, but you're not going to get this leg any further back unless you remove that section. Knees, you get way more than a 90. So really good flexibility there. You do get a thigh rotation. And at the feet, you don't get any front and back, but you do get the ankle tilt. And due to transformation, you get heel and toe. So you can get some great articulation out of this guy. Really, really good figure, nicely articulated. All right, got him all in the picture there. Okay, good stuff. Now, I'm going to put him off to the side. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about this trailer. So again, like I said, this is very loose on mine, but you do have the up and down motion there, and then of course this accordion's in, so when you collapse that trailer up, that all just compacts right in very nicely. And then close that up, and you can close that back, and then there you have the trailer. These will flip up, which makes it nice. That way you can get some balance when you're opening them up into the battle station mode. I don't know how I feel about the detail back here. I understand why they did this. This actually pops out, so it's becomes part of a shield for Optimus. But overall, yeah, it's not too bad looking. Now, as far as compatibility with Earthrise or Kingdom vehicles, there's not much that will fit in there. Now, this is Sideswipe, which is typically, he's been one of the smaller vehicles historically, but Sideswipe will not fit in there, not without creating a gap. So you can see, put him in there, and then that starts to separate. So it's a bit of a letdown. However, Cliffjumper and Bumblebee fit in just fine. So you get plenty of room with those guys. That makes it nice. Now, let's talk about that since I've got it open. This section right here does pop out, and Optimus can use it as a shield. So you can just plug that right into his arm and give him his weapon. And there you go. He's ready to have a good time. So yeah, overall, I think it makes sense with the shield. I don't know how often I would use that, but that is available to you. Also, with this component, I'm going to try to take that off the proper way and not have it just slide off. The accordion's up, like I said. Then it detaches right there. Mine detaches very loosely. I'm sure gravity alone would take it down. But if you bring all this out, you can actually put this on the port right there on Optimus's back, and then you can have him with a little buddy back there to help him out with some adventures. That's pretty cool. I like that. While I have it up there, let's go ahead and talk about that. It is effects compatible. So you can bring in your effects, and you can blow some stuff up, which is pretty cool. Of course, this cannon is effects compatible. It's very, very loose. I have one somewhere that I know fits a lot better. Let me see if I can find the right one. Yeah, that one works a lot better. So he does have some effects compatibility. You can have a good time with him. And of course, here, you have all these pegs. So you can do any number of things that you want with that. If you want to use the effects to, I don't know, make it look like it's spewing fire, you could do that. So yeah, there's some good compatibility there. Now let's go ahead and take his weapon out. What we'll do now is we'll get him transformed over to his truck mode, look at the details there, and bring him back to robot mode, do our comparisons, and give you a verdict on Kingdom Prime. So let's take all this off. Take all that out. I'm going to go ahead and put the trailer back together. So again, just doing the opposite of what you did. Plug that in, accordion that down, flip these up. And then for this, you're just going to plug it back in that hole. So just plug that back in like that. Close this up. And there you go. Put that off to the side. Now, you can store the weapon in the trailer as well. There were actually two places that you could store it, but I've used one of them for these 3D printed components. So there's a port down here where you could store the rifle in that port, something like that. But again, I've covered them up. You also have, open that up. You also have all these ports here, so you could plug that rifle in pretty much anywhere you want it in there and store it, fold it up, and pretty much put it about anywhere you want. I haven't actually tried in every single one of these ports, but looks like it does get a little close to the edge there, so you might not be able to get it in every single one, but fits pretty nicely there. Sorry, guys. Take the weapon back out because I'm going to show weapon storage on the vehicle mode when we get him transformed. So, all right. So to get this guy into vehicle mode, I'm just going to open these panels in the forearm, swing the fists in, do that on both sides, and then I don't know, just kind of get the arms out of the way. You're going to keep having to move these arms during transformation anyway. It's not that big of a deal, but it doesn't really matter where you orient them right now. And if you want, you can go ahead and prep the legs. Legs are pretty easy. Just going to squeeze them together. You have these two panels right here that you're going to flip out. I say that. There we go. So you have the two panels that you flip out like that. And then for the feet, you're just going to collapse the heel and the toe, so you're presented with something like that. And that is pretty much it for the legs. There's not a whole lot else to see there. So if you want, go ahead and move this rear bumper out of the way, pull these wheels out, spin that down. That's going to let you're going to need to rotate here in a second, but now you can pull that section up as such, and then you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to essentially unfold Optimus. Now this is going to open this cavity up right here, so what you can do now is get his head out of the way. So go ahead and flip that around and then collapse this back up so you're flush all across the top. Now what you can do, unfold, so you should have something that looks like that. And now you're going to pull these panels out. Again, get the arms out of the way. Pull these panels out. Pull these panels out. And now if you want, go ahead and rotate this 180 degrees. And you have, try to get this on camera, you have this section right here on both sides that is actually going to split from the front section, and you're going to swing those all the way back. So they should look like that. And now bring the cab down, and as you do, you'll see that it'll snap in place right there. And then connect the grille to the windshield area. Just push that tab in, then bring it on down, and you have these slots right there. They're going to go right to those tabs. Bring that down and connect those. And now you have the front of the vehicle. All right. So now what you can do is you can bring the arms around. This is very G1-esque. So you're going to swing those shoulders back. And then these forearms are just going to fold right in. But you need to be careful because you have this little tab right here that will interfere with this section. So when you do that, or at least when I do that, I bring the arms out a little bit like that. Make sure they pass that tab and then seat the arms. So same thing over here. Bring those out. Make sure it passes that tab. Seat the arms. And then you can close these top panels on both sides. All right. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to should be oriented like that. You're going to want to rotate at the hips. Rotate this cab so you have it looking like this. Now, you have these blue tabs right here and right there. They're going to fit right underneath these two sections of the cab. So just line those up. They don't lock in place. They're just alignment tabs. And then all you have to do on both sides is you're going to close the panels up. Now this one has a tab here, goes to a slot right there. That helps keep everything aligned. Do the same thing on this side. Bring in the panel, bring in the wheel, and there you have Earthrise / Kingdom Optimus Prime in his vehicle mode. Now, as far as Optimus Prime vehicle modes go, this isn't bad. The one major complaint that I've had for years is seems like nobody can really figure out a good thing to do back here. This never truly looks like the back of a semi-truck to me, ever. And in particular, with this version, you do have a very big gap right here in the middle that you can see around. Oh, I did forget to bring these out. The reason I forget to bring these out, guys, is because, my gosh, if you just breathe on them, they collapse. So most times I don't really bother with them. But to finish the transformation, you want to gently bring these out. And I say gently for two reasons. Number one, they'll pop off very easily with a little bit of force. And number two, they're painted. So you don't want to get your fingernail on there and scratch those up. So that should be what the finished look is like for Optimus. Okay, so, and see, just then I just barely touched it and it collapsed back in. So if these collapse back in, I'm not going to pull them back out. We're just going to live with it. But there we have the front. There we have the side. There we have the back. Driver's side. Top. Bottom. All right. Now, weapon storage in vehicle mode. I actually like this vehicle storage. Most times, it's really difficult to find good weapon storage in vehicle mode on the mainline toys. Usually it sticks out like a sore thumb. This actually kind of fills in the gap for me. So you fold that rifle, and then using this port right there, you're just going to align the rifle and push it in. And yeah, that really doesn't bother me. I'm really okay with that. So that works out for me personally. Now, as far as the trailer goes, you flip these up and just plug that in. And there you have Optimus in his full trailer mode. And I think overall that looks really good. That's a job well done on a mainline Optimus Prime. So we'll give you that look there. Yeah, I like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll get him transformed back up into his robot mode. We'll do the comparisons and some final thoughts. So just disconnect the trailer, pull these legs back down, park that over there. Now, one thing I will say about the weapon storage is mine's still, even after a year, it's pretty tight. So I don't bother trying to remove this weapon until I'm actually ready to do the transformation anyway, because as soon as I start pulling on this, it's actually going to pop this panel open because it's still tight enough. So I'll get to that momentarily, but for now, take these wheel panels and open those up on both sides. That's going to give you the freedom that you need to go ahead and get these legs out of the way. And since you're here, go ahead and finish these legs off. That way, if you need to set him down, at least he'll be in a standing position, which makes it easier. So split the legs, fold these panels down, and then all you have to do is open up the toe and the heel on both sides, and the legs are done. Pretty easy. Not a whole lot to it there. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and open up these panels. Do that on both sides. As soon as I can get the tab, there we go. Go ahead and clear the arms out of the way. That way you've just got them out of your way for the next step, which now, if you want, you can pull that gun out and see as I'm pulling the gun, it's opening that panel right there, which I'm going to need to have opened anyway, so I can get Prime's head out of there. Open the panel, bring his head up, make sure everything is lined up, and then close the panel. Should have something that looks like that. All right, now we will break this loose right there. We'll flip this up, and from here we're going to flip it up again. All right, now you can just start folding these panels in. Bring this over. So you have that. Bring that over, and then bring it. Well, before you bring that down, don't forget to fold these back. That completes the look. And then line these two tabs up with these two slots. And spin him 180. Fold up the butt and fold in the wheels. Bring the arms forward, open up these panels, slide out the fists. And there you have Kingdom / Earthrise Prime back in his robot mode. Now, one thing that I do want to show you before we get to the rest of it is he does have the Matrix of Leadership in his chest. So just open his chest up. And there you go. So this does come out. Give you a close-up of that. It's just hollow on the backside. And because of his hands, I think this is actually the reason for his hands, you can position him as such and have him holding the Matrix. Just like that. That's pretty cool. But I'm going to go one better. Because for those of you who have seen the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, you'll know that Hot Rod comes with a Matrix of Leadership as well. And, well, looky here. That Matrix of Leadership is the exact same size and the exact same mold as the one Optimus Prime is holding. The only difference is Hot Rod's Matrix is a little darker blue in the middle. But what does Hot Rod's Matrix come with? An effects part. That's right. So now, pop that effects part on. And let's just swap those matrices out. And what have we here? We have something way cooler. Now we have Optimus Prime truly lighting the darkest hour. And that's pretty darn sweet. Just got to do a little bit of work here to get that in the thumb. Turn those hands around. Sorry guys, I'm a little nitpicky when it comes to that, but there you go. How cool is that? So, Hot Rod's Matrix, perfect match for this Matrix, plus it comes with the effect. So, good stuff. So let's go ahead and take that, get that out of the way. Pop Prime's Matrix back in. Open these back up. Now, this, I don't know if it's my copy or if it's all copies. Mine's just loose. There's not really a press fit, so just line it up. Pop it in there. Close the panel, and you're good to go. All right, now let's talk comparisons. So first thing that I'll do, I've got a few primes that I'm going to want to bring in, but the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open this trailer back up, because my first comparison is actually going to be G1 Prime with his trailer. So let me get this back on, spin those around. And guys, like I said, for my Grimlock video, I ask for your forgiveness. My G1 Optimus Prime is very well loved. And by that, I mean he went with me everywhere for years, and he has the wear and tear to show it. So that's Prime. And this is his trailer. So unfortunately, Roller is missing a wheel. Everything else is in pretty decent shape, except for my ramp, because I'm actually, that peg, or that hole that was holding this on fell off. So my ramp is very moody because it's only being held by one. So to be fair, let's see, I'll put Prime there. This Prime there. Yeah, I'll just do it like that. Prime, Prime, trailer, trailer. And then just for fun, I will bring in my Roller on that. So there you have the Earthrise / Kingdom Prime versus the G1 Prime. Let's go ahead and get him out of the way. All right, the next one that we will bring in, we'll keep going along the lines of G1 style, is we will bring in the Power Master G1 Optimus Prime. I know there's really no comparison here. The closest thing is that Earthrise / Kingdom Prime, they're obviously getting their inspiration from the G1 mold. So just for tee-hees and ha-has, I thought I'd bring him in. All right, next we will, oh boy, I'm going to need to adjust the camera for this one, I think. We will bring in MP01. And he's a big boy. I don't think I'm going to adjust my camera as much as I'm just going to do the old tilt here so you can get him all in all of his glory. So there he is beside MP01. Bring that back down. Get the big guy out of the way. We'll bring in MP10. Hopefully we can get him all in. Yeah, okay. So they look pretty good together. I'd say that's a nice look right there. Move him on out. Now we'll get into a little more contemporary. And yes, although this came from the Bayverse, it was, I still think, Michael Bay's closest inspiration to a G1 Prime, and this was the Evasion Mode Prime. All right, next we will bring in the Transformers the movie Bumblebee Prime. Those two look pretty good together. I like that. All right. Then we will bring in Siege Prime. So, of course, a lot of similarities, a few differences here and there, but I think those two stack up looking pretty well together. All right. And what we will do now is I will go ahead and give him his gun and get that trailer out of the way. And we'll start bringing in the rest of the Kingdom crew here. And the Kingdom crew is growing, everybody. So This is going to be a really crowded family photo. As we always do, let's bring in Barney first. Move him back. We will bring in Cyclonus. Move him back. We will bring in Inferno. And by the way, I absolutely love this look. Let's get him out of the way so you got some contrast. Love that. That's gosh, the kid in me is waking up seeing the two of these guys side by side. Really, really great. So let's go ahead and move Inferno back. We'll bring in Dinobot. Slide him on back by Megs. Bring in Optimus Primal. We'll bring in Paleotrex. Let's bring in Mr. Warpath. Bring in Black Arachnia. Bring in Cheetor. And I'll move him back a little bit because we're going to bring in the core boys. Might as well start with Mini-Me. So there is core Optimus Prime. Put them side by side here so you can see how that looks. The good news is the Leader Class Optimus Prime, his gun is way straighter than the core Prime's weapon. So I have far more faith that Leader Class Prime is going to be able to actually hit something that he shoots at than the core Prime. We will bring in Mr. Rat Trap. And last but not least, we will bring in Mr. Vertebrake. So there you have it. Really crowded family photo. But that looks so cool. So cool. So guys, to wrap it up, my verdict. It's real simple. This is a fantastic figure. The articulation, the engineering, the level of detail that went into him, the fun factor, the playability. It's a no-brainer to me to have this Optimus Prime mold. Now, the question is, do you need the Kingdom Prime if you already have the Earthrise Prime? The answer is no. Absolutely not. The only thing you're gaining is the packaging, and I guess if you're a completionist, just the sense of completion for the collection, but you're gaining nothing else. There's nothing extra that comes with the Kingdom Prime that you didn't already get with the Earthrise Prime. If you missed the boat on getting Earthrise Prime the first time, do not go online and pay more money than you need to for him. Go to Walmart, go to Target. They're restocking their shelves. Kingdom Prime will be on the shelf at some point over the next few months. So if you don't have Earthrise Prime, definitely go get the Kingdom Prime. If you do have Earthrise Prime, just understand, go in knowing you're getting nothing new except for a box. And, you know, maybe you'll get a different card than I will. But other than that, as far as the figure and the mold itself goes, love it. Absolutely love it. So glad it's in my collection. I don't care if it's Kingdom or Earthrise. The mold, the design, the engineering behind this figure is what wins me over on it. So, if I wasn't going to do this review, I probably would have taken a pass on the Kingdom Prime, knowing that I had the Earthrise Prime, and I went in knowing that they were the exact same figure. So this did not come as a surprise to me that they were the same thing. So for those of you who were thinking that they were different, let this be your heads up that they're not. If you love Prime anyway, go ahead and get him. You know, the more Transformers sold, the more we're going to tell Hasbro, the more we want. So But don't do the scalpers any favors on this. Don't pay more for an Earthrise Prime than you need to. Just get the Kingdom Prime and be done. So that's going to end the review for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. As I always say, we appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the comments, letting us know what we can be doing better. If you're watching us on YouTube and you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel. We're pumping out a lot of content. It's only going to get better from here. And give us a like. If you're watching us on Rumble, I say the same thing to you. I appreciate all the rumbles that we're getting for our other videos. Keep them coming, guys. Start dropping some comments. Let us know what we can be doing better. And with that, I'll sign off. I'll say thanks for watching. We will catch you guys next time.